Dear colleagues, thank you for being here. Dear President Zelensky, dear Alona, thank you for being here. It's an honor, it's a pleasure. Allow me, as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani already did, to speak this morning in my mother tongue, for we are in Rome. It's an honor for me to open the fourth edition of the Ukraine Recovery Conference, to welcome President Volodymyr Zelensky to Rome, to First Lady Olena, to the President of the Commission, to the President of the European Council, to the Presidents, to the Prime Ministers, to the many colleagues who came here today to Rome to participate in this important initiative. To all the delegations that are present. And I want to thank them because the impressive numbers of this conference, 70 nations represented, over 40 international organizations, thousands of companies, and the reality of civil society tell better than any other initiative what kind of future we all see for Ukraine and how much conviction we believe in that future. The first glance for those who have the opportunity to see it from this stage is of extraordinary impact. And clearly for this, I want once again to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani, and the whole Farnesina, all those who contributed to the success of this event. I also want to greet and thank the other ministers of the Italian government present, the President of the Senate, Ignazio La Russa, and the leaders of the governments, of the nations that before us had the responsibility to organize this conference, and those who will have it after us by receiving the testimony. This participation, so broad at such a high level, transmits to the world an extremely important message. It says that each one of us is here to do his part for a common goal, which is to look beyond the unbearable injustice that has been inflicted on the Ukrainian people for more than a century. It says that we intend to achieve this goal not only by helping Ukraine to defend itself, by carrying out every effort to reach peace, as we are doing, but also, above all, by being able to imagine the future, asking ourselves how to rebuild what has been destroyed: roads, bridges, schools, churches, hospitals. This is the message that we want to reiterate today. Russia is increasing its attacks on civilians, striking the infrastructure that is essential for the population, because the pattern has been the same since the beginning of the war. It is trying to bend Ukraine with darkness, with cold, with hunger, with fear. This plan, like many others, has failed. It has failed, first of all, because everyone has learned that Ukrainians are much more tenacious than expected. And it has failed because the international community has lined up against this scoundrel, ensuring the urgent and necessary assistance to ensure the continuity of essential services. I think we will have to take this into account. We will have to take this into account in the future. We will have to take into account who did everything they could to prevent this barbarity and who did not. And this is why, as it is also written in the statement of the Ministers of Finance of the G7, we want to work with Ukraine, also, so as not to allow the reconstruction to benefit those entities that helped finance the Russian war machine. We saw a very moving video, and the narrator said, "We believe that together we can stop the darkness and build a strong future." This is exactly what we intend to do. Stop the darkness, build a strong future. A future at the height of a proud nation like Ukraine. A nation that, despite the bombs, despite the attacks against strategic infrastructures, despite the looted, the victims, the children taken from their families, continues to have a living economy, a resilient economy. The war often taints the confidence we have in tomorrow. We have seen it many times in history. In this case, it was not like that. In this case, the Ukrainian people looked straight into the eyes of their enemy and chose to fight. And he did not choose to fight because he loves the conflict. He chose to fight because he loves what he is defending, because he knows how to see beyond that conflict. This is what has allowed Ukraine to continue to live, to produce, to innovate, to seek a light even in the deepest darkness. Our task is to help Ukraine, and we will do so, to write this new chapter of its history, for love of justice and as a warning for the future. Italy intends to play a leading role in this, and it can do so, not only for the constancy, the clarity with which it has been aligned from the very beginning from the right side of history, without ever hesitating, but also because its solid, extraordinary production fabric has all the cards in order to generate a multiplier of investments, a multiplier of opportunities. Because the challenge we face certainly requires the maximum effort from the nations, governments, multilateral and financial institutions, but it is a game that we can win only if we can count on a robust mobilization of private capital, on the entrepreneurial spirit of companies, on their ability to attract investments. The enthusiasm, the dynamism that our companies have shown, they are demonstrating the genius and creativity that the whole world recognizes in them, say that the Italian system can make a difference. It is a commitment that today finds concreteness in the agreements that some of our main companies, Leonardo, Enel, Turnus, Enam, Ferrovi, but I'm really just mentioning a few, will sign with the Ukrainian companies. We are obviously talking about concrete initiatives, focused on strategic projects, capable of designing a real change by restoring the sign of a core commitment of our production system. A commitment that obviously moves in parallel to what has been put in place by the government, by the institutions in their various articulations. And this conference obviously offers us the opportunity to sign numerous agreements. One of the main areas on which we wanted to focus our attention is the creation of new instruments, of new financial mechanisms that can accompany the work of companies, to be done by multipliers. I am therefore happy to announce the decisive contribution of Italy to the creation of a new equity fund at the European level. And the message that we want to send today to entrepreneurs is simple. Do not be afraid to invest, to build, to rebuild in Ukraine, because investing in the reconstruction of Ukraine is not a gamble. Instead, it is an investment in a nation that has shown more resilience than any other, but it is also an investment in peace, in the economic growth of the whole of Europe, in the security of our citizens. And know that we will be by your side, together with financial institutions, with companies such as SACE, Cimist, Depository and Lending, which support the internationalization of companies, to put you in the best conditions to be able to operate. Not only on the front of the insurances that are necessary for those who invest against the risks resulting from the conflict, but also to explore new opportunities in strategic areas, from agri-industry to advanced mechanics, the chemical industry, and transport. Investing in Ukraine is an investment in ourselves, because, like it or not, what happens in Ukraine concerns each of us. I think that is why we must be proud of the result that we all achieved together today. Nations, international organizations, financial institutions, local authorities, the entrepreneurial sector, civil society. Together, we have made commitments with today's conference for over 10 billion euros. But to rebuild a nation martyred by war, money, engineers, architects, and workers are not enough. We need something more. And that something more is the feeling that the Ukrainian people, more than anyone else, has shown to know, which is the love for our homeland, the love for freedom, the will to guarantee our children a future of prosperity and well-being. Without the love for our homeland, everything we do loses its meaning. It is no coincidence that Italy has chosen to occupy some of the symbols of the places that make up the identity mosaic of the Ukrainian nation. That place is Odessa, and those symbols are the Cathedral of Transfiguration, the Philharmonic, the Museum of Fine Arts. These are gems of a splendid cultural heritage that belongs to us as Europeans, and that, as Europeans, we want to protect so that it can be handed over to those who will come after us. Dear Volodymyr, dear Olena, dear colleagues, the path of reconstruction will not be an easy one. It will certainly be a path full of obstacles, but it is also a path that brings with it incredible opportunities. Italians, perhaps better than anyone else, know very well what I'm talking about, because we are that people that, in the rubble of the Second World War, built the economic miracle of the 1960s. Even ours was a destroyed nation, which was facing enormous difficulties, and yet it did it. It rose again with determination, with pride, with vigor, and became the economic and industrial power that everyone knows today. And I like to think that this conference can be the starting point for the economic miracle of Ukraine. And we will build that miracle together, for you, for us. Because every school, every hospital, every bell tower that we will rebuild will be a piece of ourselves that we will rebuild, a piece of Europe that we will pass on to history and to our children. Thank you, and enjoy the conference.